I was there, 80s and 90s. I grew up at Union.
So our habit is more coincidence.
Yeah, if there's nobody, I just go on Zoom, I go to another place in California or Chicago.
I know a lot of people that do that.
I go to a conservative synagogue every morning for me, usually in California, because it's later for me. So it's been really nice. I've been doing that since the pandemic began. So these guys put on the film. Morning. Well, it's going to be a short service followed by a Torah study.
Usually, we don't come regularly in the morning, that's for sure. But we always want to after Thanksgiving.
Oh, good. It's a New Year's resolution.
It's just to give thanks.
A lot to be thankful for.
That is.
Alternatively, be able to see the people who join us at
Oh, should I be in a different area?
once in a year, so you'll be able to see people who join us later.
What's the plan when David and I talk for a little bit about Israel? I'm not an easy speaker. I'm very nervous. I'll have everything written down on paper.
Well, we don't want to take a long time, so half an hour maybe. So,
Hopefully not that long.
and allow people time to talk too, so to ask questions.
Okay, but when will it be?
It's going to be on the 13th, which is Friday.
What time?
We're going to have service starts at 6:30, so by 7:15 we're going to the other room for, and then however 20 minutes, whatever it is. He said he's got 25 pictures. I could take my father used to tell a story on each picture. That would take 25 times 4, about 100 minutes, an hour and a half.
No. David was thinking 30 and I was thinking 15, so I'd say about 20 minutes.
20 minutes would be good.
We will time it.
So some pictures you can just show them and then move on without telling a story.
Yeah. There are some like that.
Yeah, because my parents, they'd go to Florence, and they'd be in front of every painting and every statue. This is David. He's 11 foot tall. My father would read from the... we had to sit through his slides. Then we got off the boat in Turkey. We went to Ankara and Istanbul, and then,
No, we're not. We don't.
Here's us in front of Masada. Here's us in front of the wall. Here's us having dinner in Maganda in the old neighborhood of Tel Aviv. What was the name of that? Anyway, so they always had. So I inherited 5,000 slides. So I'm scanning them to put them all on a little drive, and each kid will get one.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, that way we can see.
You can see who's on. I don't know how many people are going to join us at 10:30. It's a trial to see if anybody comes to Torah study. And then if some people want to come to Torah study, maybe they'll show up at services. So,
I know, because 9 and then 10:30, it didn't.
well, the rabbi historically has had a great turnout for Torah study. Sometimes 25 people, but only 3 in person.
Yes.
And the goal here ultimately is to get people to come back here.
Well, that's what it used to be. It was not on Zoom. People
Yeah.
came.
But that during so it wasn't just the pandemic. Other people came in from other places, We have members from Chicago and California and Texas who join us frequently. So Jane Siegel, of course, is in Pittsburgh. So I don't think anybody's going to join us, however, until 11 o'clock when we scheduled it. So we got a minute or two to start. So it'll be a short service going into the Torah study section. So you have a chumash there, so you can use whatever book you want to use for a Torah study.
Do Torah study from here?
Yep. The idea is to get people to show up. Look, the rabbi's coming back next week. He's going to go back to whatever he was doing before. So we'll try different things. So we got a little commentary, a little video. Oh, here's Safari. So we have the Chumash there, so we'll do something from here first. But not till 11. Oh, excuse me. Okay, it's 10:30? Okay. Now, when we had 10 people, you used to open the Torah, right? And read from the Torah. So you haven't had that for quite a while on Saturday morning. So some Reform synagogues do it on Friday night, because Friday night is the big turnout night.
In New Jersey, in your summit, there was a reform, they didn't have services on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, it was that came later when it started with the bar mitzvahs, right? Because they have people in town. What are they going to do on Saturday? So
Well, the bar mitzvahs would be on Saturday, Friday
yeah.
and Saturday.
And what also changed was the movement from conservative to reform. The reform movement has picked up thousands of families from conservative. Conservative used to be 60% of American Jews. Now it's like 11%. There have been a lot of mergers of synagogues as well. So, all right, well, with or without people, we were going to start. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome those at home who are joining us in the cold morning, wherever you're joining us from. And we'll start out with the Nigun. If we had kids here, we would do the dinosaur song. And today's service will start on page 67 once we get started with that. We'll start with Bina's Nigun. Dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. 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 Dai 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 dai. 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 Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, da 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 da. We turn to page 67 in the Siddur. And we say together the prayer, may the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Let's turn the page. Let's welcome each other, those of us who are here. So, and certainly can do that at home as well. We turn to page 70 for Hine Matov. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together in peace. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Page 74. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. And we turn to page 77. Is somebody joining us? No. No, it just says share and stop sharing. I can stop sharing. Here we go. Yeah, it pops up when somebody comes in. I like this prayer on page 77 because this is the health prayer. Shabbat Shalom, Dan. Page 77. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you've made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar, umafli la'asot. Page 78. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bihi tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bihi tehorahi. Ata barata, ata yatzarta, ata nafachta bi, ve'ata meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bihi tehorahi. Please rise at page 80. We do the first 12 or so of the 100 blessings we're supposed to say every day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sekfi vina lehavchin ben yom uvein laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. 82. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam broka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten laya'ef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir sheinei me'anai, udnuma me'afapai. 84. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozei Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Otei Yisrael b'tifara. You may be seated. We turn to page 86. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with the mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'sivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We turn to page 89, in which we review the 8 degrees of tzedakah that Maimonides listed over 1,000 years ago. There are 8 degrees in the giving of tzedakah. Each one is higher than the one before. To give grudgingly, reluctantly, or with regret. To give less than one should, but with grace. To give what you should, but only after being asked. To give before one is asked. To give without knowing who will receive it, that the recipient knows the identity of the giver. Then to give without making known one's identity. And then to give so that neither the giver nor receiver knows the identity of the other. But the highest level of charity, the highest rung of tzedakah, is to help someone else become self-supporting by giving them a gift, a loan, or by finding employment or helping them start a business. So I'm waiting for that. Anybody want to help me start a business? That would be the highest form of tzedakah. We turn to page 94 as we rise for Baruch Shamar. Please rise, page 94. Baruch Shamar v'yaolam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Oseh v'reshit, Baruch Omer v'yoseh, Baruch Gozer Kayem, Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Meshalem Sachar Tov Lireyav, Baruch Chai Ad V'Kayam Lanetzach, Baruch Podel Masil, Baruch Shemo, Bishvachor V'Zimrot Negadelcha, V'Neshabecha, V'Navercha, V'Naskir Shimcha, V'Namlichacha, Malkeinu Eloheinu, Yachid Chei Ha'olamim, Melech Meshubach Umforadeh Shmo Gadol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Melal, Batishbachot. You may be seated. As we're supposed to finish a book of the Bible every day, on page 100, there's 150 Psalms in the book of Psalms. We're going to be reciting all 150 Psalms. No, we're just going to do the last one today. Last 4 lines in Hebrew. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Betzil tzalei tuchma. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Betzil tzalei tuchma. Kol shamate hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol shamate hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We turn to page 102. Even if our mouths were full of song as the sea, and our tongues full of joy in countless waves, and our lips full of praise as wide as the sky's expanse, and were our eyes to shine like the sun and moon, if our hands were spread out like heaven's eagles, and our feet swift like young deer, we could never thank you adequately, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, to bless your name for a 10,000th of the many myriads of times you granted favors to our ancestors and to us. Page 105. Yishtabach Shimcha Lad Malkeinu El HaMelech HaGadol VaKadosh B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Echad Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'Imotenu Shiru Shvacha Halev V'Zimra Ozu Memshala Netzach Gadol Gevra Teilah V'Tiferet K'Shel Malchut Brachot Ve'odot Me'ata V'Yad Olam. Middle of 105. Baruch atah Adonai, El Melech Gadol V'Tishbachot, El Odot, Adonai Niflaot, Habocher B'Shirei Zimra, Melech Elchei Ha'olamim. We don't have enough to say the Chatzi Kaddish on page 106, so we turn to, we have to skip Baruch Hu again because we don't have a minyan, so we go to page 109. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al mitzvat kriyat shema, lahamlicho b'levav shalem, u'liachto b'lev tov, u'lavdo b'nefesh chafetza. And we turn to page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer v'choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live on it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures, and for the light you... Be praised, Adonai, our God, for the excellent work of your hands and for the lights you created. May they glorify you. Shine a new light on Zion that may all swiftly merit its radiance. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. We turn to page 112. How deeply you've loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears who trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. V'ha'areinu b'toratecha, v'dahabek liveinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu li'ahava u'yira et shemecha, v'lo nevos, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel, le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodsecha, hagadol v'hanora b'tachnu, nagila v'nismecha, nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha, v'avienu le'shalom, me'arba kanfot ha'aretz, v'tolichenu komemiyut le'artzeinu, ki el po eshuotata, uvanu v'chata keravtanu l'shim kagado, selah beyemet lehodot lecha u'yachedcha b'yahava. Baruch atah Adonai, havarcher b'yamo Yisrael b'yahava. Page 114. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Abad. Page 116. Ve'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol olavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al vavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'leftecha v'aderech uv'shokbecha v'kumecha uv'kshartam la'ot al yadecha Vayuto tafot beinenecha, ultavtam, amazuzot betecha v'isharecha. And we turn to page 118, in the middle of the page. Leman tizkeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim lelechem. Ani Adonai Elohim, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Lachem Le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, Emet. We turn to page 122 for Mi Chamocha. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, lie, lie, lie. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Torah tehillah, oh sefer Torah tehillah, oh sefer Shirach v'shashi kugeulim, lesimchas vat hayom, yalechulav, pohodu ve'li, uve'ameru, Adonai yimloch, le'olam v'ad, Adonai yimloch, le'olam v'ad. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehillah, o sefer Torah tehillah, o sefer. And we turn to page 124, which will start. Please rise for the Amida. We'll start with a singing together, and then it's a silent prayer after that. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Now you continue silently. We'll get back together in a few minutes. You can say the prayers that are in the Siddur or the prayers that are in your heart. Those who are davening should certainly continue to do so. We turn to page 140 for Sim Shalom. Sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Kein v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barkeinu yotrenu kulanu keyechad bior panecha. Sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Ki ve'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torah Chaim v'avat chesed u'tzedaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim shalom tova uvracha. V'tov einecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol shah b'shlomecha. Sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim shalom tova uvracha. On page 40, let's read together in the middle paragraph, grant peace. Grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, Adonai, our God, you gave us a Torah of life, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people Israel at all times, at every hour, with your peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. And that concludes the Amidah portion. We turn to page 142 at the bottom. Ohoseh shalom mimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom aleinu v'al 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 kol Yisrael. Ohoseh shalom mimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. So that concludes the Shacharit as we go into our Torah study today. We're trying a little experiment. Hopefully that eventually some people will gravitate back here for Torah study. If we do it in the middle of the service, but also get people to show up for services. Because Saturdays have been kind of schwach, Yiddish for weak in attendance. And looks like we'll also be weak in Torah study at 11 o'clock. So most people know it did change to 11 from 9 o'clock today. We'll resume starting next week when Rabbi Neil returns. We'll be back at 9 o'clock at Torah study. Those who need their coffee and breakfast will be able to join us again. Let's say the blessing for Torah study as we take out our Chumash. If anybody's got a book in their vicinity, the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. This week's Torah portion is Toldot. In this version, the Plaut Chumash, the modern commentary, it's on page 173. Yeah, page 173, the Plaut edition. I don't know the JPS page, but it is Toldot, Genesis chapter 25, verse 19. Genesis chapter 25, verse 19. And the Sepharia uses the JPS edition, so we're going to look at it on the, and you can notice some of the differences as you look at your own translation there. So, who would like to read the first few verses of, it's verses number 19, 20, 21. Or I can do it. Not yet.
I first they would come online at 11:15.
11. Yeah. No, nobody's here. So I will, I'll just read it. And you'll find the translations a little bit different in the Plaut. This is the story of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. So here in the first sentence, there's already a question. We already know it's Isaac is Abraham's son. Why do we need that last little part there? Abraham begot Isaac. First of all, who did the begetting? Sarah, right? So already it's a question. Abraham's getting all the credit, and all he did was visit once at age 100, and now he's 101. That's all it says in the first line. Then Isaac was 40 years old when he took to wife Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean of Padan Aram, that's in Syria, sister of Lavan the Aramean. We'll hear more about Lavan, won't we? Laban or Lavan, of course, puts Jacob to work for 21 years, right? To get 2 wives and some property and some sheep. But he was 40 years old. Well, how old was he 2 weeks ago when he almost sacrificed him on the Mount Moriah? How old was Isaac when his father? Anybody have an idea? I always thought of him as a young boy, right? But he was 27 years old when his father almost killed him on the top of Mount Moriah. So here he's 40 years old, and we don't hear much from Isaac after his father almost killed him. Until now. So maybe he left town and didn't come back for a while. Dad, you're going to do this to me again? Isaac was 40 years old. He took to wife Rebekah. I'm sure some of you remember that story. He didn't find his own wife, did he? The Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, had to go find him, find a wife for Isaac. And he took the kindest woman. He chose the kindest woman who offered not only water for himself, but for his camels, right? So she agreed to, they asked Rebekah, remember, they asked Rebekah, do you want to go along with this servant to meet Isaac, to make him your husband? And they gave her a choice. And she said yes. Because he saw all the jewelry that they brought along with him. So, and then he could go to, Isaac is in the fields, and Isaac, she falls off her camel when she sees him. He must have been really good looking. I don't know. Big muscles. All right, so verse 3. Isaac pleaded with God on behalf of his wife because she was barren. Well, that means you couldn't have a baby right away in those days. They didn't have any in vitro fertilization or other types of help with having babies. So Isaac prayed to God, and God responded, and his wife conceived. So in those days, any kind of miracle like that was attributed to God. We don't know now we only know Rebekah was a young woman. We don't know how old she was, but Isaac was at least 40, right? So this is interesting. Verse 22, the children struggled in her womb. They fought with each other. They struggled. They moved around a lot in her womb. And she was really distraught. And says, why do I exist? In other words, what's the point of going on? This is a horrible pregnancy. I can't survive this. So it says she went to inquire of Adonai. What does it say in verse 21 or 22 about what she does? What does it say in verse 22? She went to inquire of the eternal, right? The same thing. So she didn't actually talk to God. According to the rabbis of the Talmud, she went to talk to the guy who ran the local yeshiva. Shem, the son of Noah, was still alive. He was probably 700 years old. And so Shem told her that, here's what he told her. 2 peoples are in your belly, or 2 nations are in your womb. 2 separate peoples will issue from your body. 1 people shall be mightier than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. So it's kind of a prediction, right, of what's going to happen. This is what the sages told her was going to happen. And her time to give birth was at hand, and there were twins. Those days you didn't have ultrasounds, right? So you couldn't tell if you're having a twin or just a really big baby, right? The rabbis also say that they were fighting each other in the womb. Whenever Rivka would walk past a yeshiva or a house of Jewish worship, she would, one of the babies would reach toward that particular institution, and then the other baby responded whenever he went past an idol worshiping place. So that's kind of the response that the rabbi said. So what happened at verse 25? The first one came out reddish all over. What does it say in that? Yeah, it says emerged red, a hairy mantle all over. And I think it says, same thing, hairy mantle. And they named him Esav, which means a red, like a dome. Adom, which is red. And so from Adamah, which is the ground. He was hairy, so they named him Esav, which was a local name for somebody who was hairy. His brother came out, and he's holding Jacob's heel, his Akev, his heel, so they called him Yaakov. So his whole life he ends up being called a heel, being known as a heel. And so what happens next? His brother emerged, holding on to the heel. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. So how long is he married? 20 years. He's 60 years old. They had babies at a late age in those days, I guess. The boys grew up. Esau became a skillful hunter. We had that once before with Abraham's first son, who became, Hagar's son Ishmael, who also became a great hunter. And a man of the woods, man of the outdoors. Jacob was a mild man raising livestock. Now it doesn't say that, and what does it say in our translation here? He was a man of the outdoors, a homespun man, it says in our translation. He kept to the tents. He's a mama's boy. He hangs around with his mom. He knows how to cook. He knows how to sew things, but he's not much of a hunter. So in verse 28, Isaac favored Esav because he liked meat, right? He liked game in his mouth. But Rebekah favored Jacob. So already you have one parent favoring one child. You're never supposed to tell your son, hey, you're my favorite kid, right? You're never supposed to tell him that. But he knew. He hung around with her and learned how to cook. And then one day, Yaakov was cooking a stew. It says a stew here. What does it say in the Hebrew? Yaakov Nazir, 29, is cooking a stew. Vayazer Yaakov Nazir. He was Nazid, so he's making some kind of soup, like lentils, they say. And his brother came in. Esav was hungry. Esau came in from the open, famished, or as my mother would say, famished. And he was hungry. He was starved and he was tired. He said to Jacob, I'm famished. Let me gulp down some of that red stuff. And later on, he said they gave him the name Edom, Not only have red hair, but he likes red stuff. Edom, of course, becomes an antagonist to Israel later on, right? Edom later on is considered to be Rome, the Roman Empire, which certainly picks on the Jewish people. So he said, so Jacob didn't want to give up so easily. Why couldn't he just give his brother some soup? Was that not a nice thing to do? I mean, he came in from the fields, he's hungry, he loves his brother, and instead of giving him his brother, he says, sell me your birthright here and now.
Does he love his brother?
Well, he's a brother. Aren't they supposed to love each other? So this is the question. What are his feelings towards, maybe was his mother also not favoring Esau? We're on page, so we have, depends what book you're in. We're in Genesis chapter 25, verse 32. So Jacob doesn't just give him the food. He says in verse 31, sell me your birthright. Get right now. Now, I think Esau is thinking about his birthright. He's hungry. So in this Chumash, we're on page 174, verse 31. Jacob is not going to give it to him so easily. He's going to make him give up his birthright. Esau said, hey, I'm going to die of starvation here. What good is this birthright to me? So Esau didn't really care about the inheritance from his father, did he? Does that seem like he really cared? Jacob said, confirm it to me by oath here and now. I guess he wanted a signed paper turning over the birthright. So Esau swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. In 34, Jacob gave him bread and lentil stew. And then Esau got up and left. Why did he treat this so uncaringly? Why wasn't that important to him? Isn't that a concern? And also he wasn't much of a spiritual guy. He was a guy of the woods, and you need those people in the society who go out and get the food, right? Well, also the birthright could be many years from now, right? He needs the lentils right now. What's he going to do the next time he gets hungry? What can he sell to Jacob at that point? So he gave up his birthright. So that's a really important thing here, because usually in most societies, the oldest child was getting the inheritance. This again goes against that, right? The oldest child of Abraham was Ishmael. He should have gotten the inheritance, right? He should have gotten the birthright, but he didn't. The people were continued through his other son.
Genesis is one dysfunctional family after another.
Yes, and they always favored the what do you call him? The underdog. Favored the weaker son, the one who favored his mother. Now later on, what happens? If he wants to get the blessing from his father we don't know how old he is, but Yitzchak can't see very well. And what does Rivka do with her son? Yeah, puts sheepskin on so he has hairy arms, and she gives him some food that Esau obviously had caught, some venison or something, and said, hey, your son is here, took advantage, and they both lied. So what the rabbis say, actually I got a quiz on that one, I'll share that one right here. So one of the questions is, let's see. All right, so one of the questions is, after this story, it's a long story. So first of all, what is a birthright? What is a birthright?
Inheritance.
Is it the actual materials, or is it also just the blessing of your father? You're going to have a lot of... It's both, right? It's both. Now, at the time that Isaac was blessing him, he's not dead yet, so you don't inherit any actual goods until the person dies. So the question is, why did Jacob want that birthright so badly? Why did he ask Esau to trade his birthright for food? Ambition. Make him sound like a politician already, you know. Is this the kind of forefather, the kind of ancestor we're supposed to emulate? We're supposed to be like this guy, cheating your brother out of the birthright just because he wants some food? Huh? Rebecca, Robert, she likes him. He stays at home. He doesn't go out and command her around, right?
So, didn't they have a rule against equal for equal? I mean, stew is hardly the equivalent of a birthright. I mean, was there no...
That's no equivalent. I mean, stew is temporary and it's gone in a second, and the birthright lasts for generations, especially if it's property too, right? A blessing carries some weight also. All right, so number 2. How do you feel about Rebecca, a mother, asking her son to lie to his father? The question is, do you ever lie? When is it okay to lie? How do you feel about yourself when you lie? Now, good question would be when Renana comes up to me and says, she tries on a dress, she says, does this make me look fat?
Oh, don't answer.
I said, no, it actually has a slimming effect on you.
That's the wise answer.
What do you think of this piece of jewelry? Now, she's a jewelry designer. You think I'm ever going to tell her it's a piece of crap and it's ugly? No! It's gorgeous. It's wonderful. Why don't you sell it at the next art show? So the question is, there are times it's okay to lie.
Well, I remember having that discussion once with the rabbi, and it was like, in this case, in your case, the example, not in that case, for family harmony.
Family harmony.
That you don't just...
Do you love me more than my sister? I'm talking to my mom. Do you love me more than my sister? Who do you love more?
Boy, that's a different... Nobody ever asked me that.
Because they'll say, well, I love you both the same. Oh, you mean you don't love me? I'm not special? You know, and to every mother, their son is a prince and the daughter's a princess, to every Jewish mother. So sometimes you lie. How am I looking? You don't look so good. You look kind of pale. You should call the doctor. But usually, but that's more of a flattery thing. But how do you feel about yourself when you lie? Yes, Cal.
So is this situation complicated by the fact that it was not spontaneous, but it was premeditated, it was collusion?
Do you think that Jacob was cooking the stew, knowing his brother was coming home from the hunt today, and he planned it out, or anytime, he knew anytime my brother asked me for food, that I'm gonna do this. Do you think he really might have planned that out? Said anytime, he didn't know when he's coming, but anytime he shows up, I'm gonna get the birthright from him. I can't believe he'd do that himself without his mother's collusion. He was he was a homeboy. He stayed at home, homebody. He didn't really think for himself. I don't know.
So do you agree there was collusion involved and it was premeditated?
The rabbis say no. This was his own, because they don't want to make one of our foremothers to also be, not so honest. But if it's what was the prediction, the prophecy when she went to the yeshiva and she had the babies inside of her? Said one of them is going to serve the other. The older will serve the younger. So she was really just fulfilling God's commandment, God's prophecy by doing this, right? By lying. So anyway, all right. Esau hates his father and his brother for taking away the blessings. Remember what happens. Esau comes next after his father gives him the blessings. And wait, don't you have anything for me? That's what Esau said. Don't you have a blessing left for me? Not much. He gave most of his blessings. He said, well, you're going to have an army and you're going to serve your brother. You're going to serve your brother. That was the... Is it okay to hate? That word is mentioned here in this section, is that he hated his brother and mother for what they did to him. Oh, let's see if we can find that. It's got to be in this section. Well, in 174, 175 we were on. He gets a blessing. I'm famished. So it's not in here. Where does it show? I'll show you what it says. When later on, Rebecca tells him to get out of town, tells Jacob to get out of town because your brother is angry with you and he's going to kill you. That was a warning. Let's see if we can find that. Let's wait a little bit later, isn't it? When guys who grow old. That's after the deception. The deception is on page 178. Page 179, Jacob says, I am Esau, your firstborn. And he kissed his father at the bottom of the page. 180, this is the blessing his father gave. Let people serve you. Nations will bow down to you. Be a ruler to your brothers. Let your mother's sons bow down to you. And then Esau comes on page 38 and begs the father. Begs, he said, don't you have anything for me? And let's see. So it says somewhere in here, let's see, 182, page 182, Isaac summoned Jacob and gave him instruction, don't take a wife here, I don't like the neighborhood, go find a wife among your relatives. Here it is, page 181. Verse 41. 181, the middle of the page, verse 41. Esau now bore a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had conferred on him. And Esau formed this resolve. The days of mourning for my father are approaching. How many days are you supposed to mourn for your father? A year, right? A year. So then I'll kill my brother Jacob. So he's going to wait a whole year before killing his brother. And verse 42, somebody overheard it because Rebekah was told that about Esau's words, and she sent for her son Jacob and said, look, your brother Esau is plotting to avenge himself and kill you. Now, son, listen to me. Get out of here. Get going and flee to my brother Laban, your uncle in Haran. Stay there until your brother's rage cools down. How long does it take your rage to cool down in a case like this? Well, he said he's going to wait a year, right? He's going to wait until he stops mourning his dead father. And he'll forget what you did to him, and I'll send for you to bring you back from there. Why should I lose two sons in the same day? So she's warning him to get away because my other son's going to kill you, right? Is that what it says? So what's the word here? He bore a grudge. Bore a grudge against Jacob. And so that's all it says. But she says that he's going to avenge himself by killing you. So that's not a love thing, is it? So Esau hates his father and brother for taking away his blessings. Do you think it's okay for Esau to feel this way? What's the right answer? Well, you know what's going to happen later, right? Jacob is so afraid of his brother, but when they have a reunion, his brother Esau hugs him, and they fall on each other's necks and kiss each other and hug each other. So he was all worried about how he's going to be treated, but in the next chapter, Jacob is going to be forgiven by Esau. So who's the better son here? Who's the better son? Is it okay sometimes to hate somebody? I have to tell you, I was brought up as a Zionist, a young Zionist, and the Young Judea and other movements. I didn't learn about the Palestinians or about the Arabs, except as enemies. I didn't learn about them. So love your fellow, love your neighbor as yourself. We were always taught they were going to be terrorizing Israel. Well, they have been, but not all of them. There's only a few. So, the question is it fair to paint everybody with the same brush? And the answer is no. It's not. Esau actually turns out to be the better of the two because he comes and makes up with his brother. So that's really today's Torah portion. So, all right, here's a couple of quick questions for you. How old was Yitzchak when he married Rebecca? 40, good. What things did God tell Rivka about her pregnancy? Most important one was, your older son is going to serve your younger son. The future is going to be through Jacob, not through the line of Esav. How long had Yitzchak and Rivka been married when Esav and Yaakov were born?
20.
Huh?
20 years.
Okay, yeah, 20 years, right? From 20 to 40. What was the name of Esav's first wife? That's a trick question. Her name was Judith, Yehudit, which became, of course, Yehuda. The name of Judah became the name of the Jews, right? The Yehudim. Avram and Yitzchak both had confrontations with a king named Avimelech. And you remember what happened? Abraham told Sarah, don't tell them you're my wife. Tell them you're my sister. That way they won't kill me. Because they wanted to add Sarah to the harem. The same thing happened with Isaac and his wife. That Rivka was thought to be very beautiful by Avimelech. This is not the same one, right? Because Avimelech has got to be hundreds of years old now. Maybe it's the son of Avimelech. And they dealt with the problem the same way. He said, she's not my wife, she's my sister. That way he didn't get killed. But they found out, and they said it's a curse to end up taking somebody's wife and killing them over it. And they were worried about the punishment for that. So Yaakov is accused of manipulating Esav on two important issues. What were the two issues that he wanted in exchange for the lentil soup? The birthright, a blessing, and the inheritance, right? He wanted two things out of it. Which is more important? The question is, which is more important of the two? The birthright or the blessing? Are they both important? Well, we're biblical people, so we say the birthright was the blessing was more important than getting a bunch of sheep. You can always get sheep. Why did Rivka send Jacob away? We know that answer, right? His brother was going to kill him. The rabbis say that Esav upset Rivka and his father by taking Canaanite wives. They didn't go back to the Jewish area to find wives. So, anyways, little Bible quiz. So, okay. So nobody else showed up today. So I guess you guys did. So that's great. So any comments about this week's Torah portion? Another example where we have some people not such great personalities that we consider. Yaakov, of course, had 12 children through 4 wives, Leah and Rachel, Leah and Rachel, I mean, and their handmaidens also. So you had really 12 sons, and all of them became the heads of tribes. One daughter. Remember the daughter's name? Dinah. And she had her own troubles. She went on a date with Shem, the local guy in Nablus. So that's a whole other story. So, yeah.
Why wasn't there the possibility of blessing 2 sons? I mean, how do you run out of blessings?
That's what he said. That's what Esau said to his father. Don't you have a blessing for me? You got plenty of words. Just a word.
Did he not have a blessing for him?
Well, what was the actual blessing that he said? The blessing was you're going to have all these, and your brother's going to serve you. So what can he tell Esau? You're going to serve your brother? Is that a blessing?
No, he says he's going to get a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he gave him the whole birthright. It wasn't half a birthright. Thinking he was the older son, Isaac gave him the whole thing. Right? So that you're right. I think that it could be divided. Look, I have
You mean the blessing was the birthright?
Well, he said, the birthright also included, the blessing included stuff, right? You're going to get all the sheep, and you get all this land, whatever it was. So there was more to it. The birthright was verbal, but it was also later. Now, we don't know if Isaac was dying at this time, because he didn't die for another 20 years. So, it wasn't really on his deathbed that he was saying this stuff, because later on they come to bury him, so. No, it's a good question. I mean, look, I'm the oldest of three kids. My sisters and I shared my parents, my mother's legacy. It was just enough to have a big party and have hotels and flights, so we could all fly down to Florida to bury her. And it was a nice weekend, you know. But the land, we didn't get all the land and property. I was still waiting for that. But
The lesson here is about being impetuous.
yeah? Oh, because he said he didn't care about the birthright, he wanted it.
He was impetuous, he was hungry, but he wasn't starving to death. He came in from the fields,
Was he really starving to death? Was he going to die if he didn't eat something?
he was working hard, and he came up and was hungry.
But we get that expression now, I'm starving to death, you know, this is, obviously comes,
So that's the lesson.
don't be impetuous, don't be in a hurry.
That's the lesson.
Yeah, Cal?
At this point in time, there were not any contingencies for something being gained from the false pretenses.
What do you mean?
When he gained birthright by false pretenses.
Yeah, he did.
Isn't there some sort of recourse that at that point in time?
Well, he suffered worrying, you know, he was in stress and anxiety that his brother was trying to kill him for the next 10 years, you know, till they had a reunion. He was running away from his brother and his family. Is that a punishment enough? Is that